to be able to look briefly on this particular document, the COVID Basic Education Emergency Plan, we are looking at 3 pillars that are very critical so that it can be able to also give members a wider perspective and maybe address some of the questions that may come up. Chair, we are looking at the question of coping. How do we cope with this particular new situation? So it is going to address the coping mechanism. It is going to address what we call managing continuity. And the emergency plan is also going to address what we call improving and accelerating learning. In coping mechanism, Chair, I think we are finding ourselves in a situation that is not of normal circumstances. And therefore, when we find ourselves in this situation, then we must be able to put in place coping mechanisms. And like any other situation, when you are giving coping mechanisms, those mechanisms may not necessarily be ideal, but you are trying to address the situation in which you are in, Chair. When we come to opening of schools, we shall be trying to manage continuity. And when we are going to manage continuity, Chair, we are going to look at schools. How do we reopen our schools successfully? How do we make sure that students recover the time that they may have lost? And Chair, we shall also be seeing how do we ensure the inequality that has been widened by this particular situation is addressed. Finally, this particular document, Chair, is looking at the question of how do we improve and accelerate learning? How do we ensure that as we go back to school, we recover on lost time? So, Chair, as we circulate this particular document, we would want to make sure that it captures the 3 places. We are going to protect the health of our children in the coping mechanism, the safety of our children in that coping area. We prevent loss of time, and that's why we are going to e-learning. And we make sure that remote learning continues to be able to get some time. But I want to say, Chair, nothing will replace the interpersonal relationship between the child and the teacher. And that's why when we resume learning, then we shall ensure that that particular relationship is picked from where we left, and that every child will be able to get an equal opportunity. Chair, I would want to leave at that as we continue discussing. Then we shall also be bringing the highlights that are in this particular Kenya Basic Education COVID plan, response plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
yes.
by answering the question which was addressing as to whether we should zone the country into 3, the government of the Republic of Kenya is one government for one people and is led by one person, and it is not, we don't run away from the problems by dividing them, we solve them to the best of our ability, Mr. Chairman. I submit.
Yes, what's out of order, Honorable Raso?
Chair, what the CS is saying is totally out of order, because this country is already divided. It is not politicians, it is not us who are dividing this country. Already education has divided us. With COVID-19, it will divide us further. If less than 10% are currently on e-learning, what will he say about 90% who are out there in the villages? Yes, we know this is one country, it's one state, one people. But the idea of trying to justify or hide behind seats, we will not accept it. This is the National Assembly of Kenya, and when we ask questions, we ask on behalf of our people.
Yes, I think your question, if I got it right, Honorable Raso, is CS, is the issue of regions that do not have e-learning, do not have TVs, do not have... is that your position?
No, that was not the question, Mr. Chairman.
Is that the question, Raso? First of all, so that we are on the same wavelength.
Absolutely.
Is that the position that we have regions within this country where we have no electricity, we have no even FM stations moving on? Is that the issue?
That is absolutely my question.
That's it. Yes, that's actually basically...
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I am also a Kenyan citizen. I am answering a question, and I am saying that the government does not support the idea of zoning the country into 3 different zones. That's what I've said. And I don't think because of that there should be a barrage of insults on me in this chamber.
There are no insults CS, the question is actually very weighty, and I just want to put it very clear, that we have students within this country who do not get the e-learning. We have those who do not get radios. We have those who do not get TVs. What are you doing? These are there are those who get it. There are those who don't get it. So what are you doing with them? It's a very valid question.
Mr. Chairman,
you need to respond to that.
Those students are scattered in every corner of this republic. It is wrong to insinuate that they are only coming from one region, including even from where I come from. There are people without radios.
So, Waziri,
so
what are you doing with them?
I have said, I was saying in answering the question,
yes,
that it is wrong to think of zoning the country into 3 regions. If you say Nairobi is one of the elite regions, what about the slums? So it is wrong. That's the government's position. And I think let us also agree to disagree.
So we are still back to the same question. I think maybe PS, what are you doing with these children?
I think I want to bring it forward, Chair, that one of the issues that we saw, and I said that the first pillar of our response plan is coping, because we must get a coping mechanisms. And in this particular coping mechanism, it may not necessarily be an ideal situation, but it is a situation that you are trying to address yourself in where you are. You know, when you are inside a hole and you are fallen in, the best way that is there is for somebody maybe to bring a grain and pass it to you, and then they will remove you slowly. But sometimes the grain might not be there, but you'll struggle to make sure that you are out of the hole. So, Chair, what we have done with the support of KICD is that we've been engaging ourselves. We have widened our scope of engagement, and we have brought in as many partners as possible. We are now dealing with 35 what we call community radios. These radios which are deep in the community, so that they become part of the players that will assist us in delivering education. I don't want to look like I'm answering the member, but I want to say, like in some regions in the northern Kenya, we are working with Iftini Radio. We are working with a number of radios, 35 of them, of what we classify as community radios, so that we can be able to widen our scope. We may not be able to reach everybody, but I've been given a number of some of these radios. And in Lodwar, we have Radio Akisha. In Kitale, we have Radio Mitume. In Marakwet, we have Radio Changwani. So we have quite a number of partners that we have brought on board so that we can be able to work together towards achieving this objective. But as the Cabinet Secretary has said, the bottom line is, when it comes to the third pillar that I gave, which is improving and accelerating learning, is that every learner will be given an equal opportunity by starting from where they left, and also ensuring that if there is need for remedial engagement for those who are from regions that were not able to get this particular content, then we shall go to that extent as government to ensure that such remedial engagements with children who may be left behind, so that they will be able to have a level playing ground as we go towards examination. Though, Chair, let's separate the current coping mechanism of e-learning from examinations. Because when it comes to preparation for examination, we shall ensure that all our children have an equal opportunity, away from the coping mechanism that we're having now through e-learning and other learning opportunities. Thank you.
Yes, I think we are through with that.